wanted to thank everybody who's joined us today for this presentation. It's being given by Miss Naomi Cortez. She is a general education instructor here at Southwest University, specializing primarily in English. So any English class that we have here, she's probably taught it or will teach it in the future. Most students might recognize her from English 133, reading comprehension. She typically has that each term, where she helps some of the new students kind of get used to SU learning and courses. She is currently in her 8th year here at SU, I believe that's correct. So she's taught several classes in pretty much every program as well. So she's an amazing instructor. She has a BA in philosophy and English and a MA in English with a minor in gender and sexuality studies from New Mexico State University. And I'm extremely excited and proud that pretty soon we'll be able to call her Dr. Cortez in the near future, because she's currently pursuing her doctoral studies at North Central University, where she's studying general education. So that's really awesome for her and for the students to get that experience from her. Not only is she an amazing instructor, she's proven to be an amazing student as well. She's part of the Phi Kappa Phi, Alpha Chi, and Golden Key Honor Societies. She was recognized and received the Diversity Award from New Mexico State University, an Outstanding Graduate Assistant Award, a Freeman Asia Scholarship recipient, a Tuition Fellowship recipient, and she graduated as a Crimson Scholar with high honors from New Mexico State University. So she's an amazing instructor, but she's also a great student. So again, for the students, if you need tips on how to be a great student, this is your go-to person right here. Again, amazing instructor. She was the SU Teacher of the Year in 2017. And as far as her hobbies, she always makes me feel out of shape because she's an avid runner. She's always talking about all the marathons she's running and all the trail runs she does. So it makes me feel lazy. But it's great, great for her. She's an animal lover. I know she has a rescue dog, and going back to the running, she's mentioned before that she would go and volunteer to run the dogs at the animal shelter. She's a bookworm, so she's actually mentioned wanting to start a book club here at SU. So if you want to join a book club, reach out to her so we can get some of that stuff going. And she did mention she's an SVU fan. So if you want to talk about SVU episodes with her, feel free to do so. But I'm excited to have Miss Naomi here. She wanted to do this presentation to cover, mental health awareness and any stigmas associated with it and how we can overcome those. So we are grateful for her for bringing this information for the students. With that being said, I did want to note that Ms. Cortez is not a mental health professional, and nor is she licensed to give medical advice. So a lot of the information she's going to be giving to you guys is, again, to spread awareness on these important issues, and a lot of it's going to be based off her own research on different strategies on how to address, common health issues that, students experience just across the board. But I'll go ahead and let Ms. Naomi take over. Thank you again for taking the time for this presentation.
Wow, what an introduction. All right, everyone. Like Dr. Ramos said, I just kind of wanted to talk about mental health awareness because that's how we break the stigma of mental health illness, is by talking about it. A lot of people are ashamed to talk about it, or they're nervous to talk about it, and we shouldn't feel that way. And the more we talk about it, the more we can normalize it. So that's what we're going to do here today. I have my notes over here, so I tend to ramble. So I'm going to look over there to kind of keep me on track. So the things I wanted to talk about today would be breaking the stigma, how we do that. Also depression and anxiety, which are two of the most common mental illnesses that people have. I've noticed a lot with students, they have anxiety. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some grounding techniques you can use to help you when you're, feeling anxious about something. And you might have an anxiety disorder. I don't know, but I'll tell you some symptoms of those in case you're wondering. All right. Like I said, the most important thing that we'll be doing today is talking about mental illness, depression, anxiety. The more we talk about it, the more it's normalized, but also the more likely you are to reach out if you need help, which is really, really important. I'm going to talk a little bit about suicide awareness. It's important that if you are having certain feelings that you reach out to someone about them. And I'll talk about some of the warning signs that you can look for in yourself and in other people. So when we talk about mental illness, it kind of opens the door for other people to help us. For example, I have generalized anxiety disorder. If someone comes up to me and they're like, oh, I'm feeling anxious, like let's say a student, it opens up that door where I'm able to say, oh, let me tell you some of the techniques that I use. And also it normalizes it. They're like, oh, okay, you have anxiety too. Maybe I'm not, weird. It's normal. It's normal to have anxiety. So I'll talk about a couple of ways to kind of combat those feelings whenever you get them. Do be aware that different things work for different people. So a strategy that works for me may not work for you. Just kind of think of these strategies as tools to put in your toolbox, so they're there when you need them. Two common issues, like I said, would be anxiety and depression. So for depression to actually be diagnosed with it, you have to have symptoms for more than 2 weeks. The information that I'm telling you, all the statistics I got from the National Institute of Mental Health, it is a government entity. If you want more information, you can look that up online. Again, be careful of where you're looking up your information. I won't get into the English teacher stuff, but do be aware that different websites are going to say different things. So go to a reliable source if you're looking up information about anything I'm talking about today. There are some resources. I think I might have that website on there. But if not, again, simple Google search, NIMH. Yes. Okay, you can go there. And there's also one for grounding techniques, but we'll talk about that in a second. All right, so some symptoms of depression that I looked up and that I've personally experienced myself would be extreme fatigue. You might feel like you have to sleep, for a longer period of time, and it's not just being tired from working all day. You just don't want to be awake. Another symptom would be overeating or not eating. So you may experience some weight gain or weight loss. Feelings of hopelessness, worthlessness, these are things that you should really pay attention to. You need to talk to someone if you're feeling that way. It's just a really bad feeling to have in general, but it could be a signal that, you're at a point where you need to talk to someone. So my suggestion is to reach out to a mental health professional. If you don't want to do that, reach out to family members. Even if you have a close coworker, that might be fine too. But the thing is to talk. It kind of helps sometimes to alleviate those symptoms of depression. Like, let's say you kind of are feeling a little worthless, and you talk to your close friend. Oh, I'm not feeling myself lately. I feel hopeless, worthless. They might kind of lift you up and say, no, you're not worthless, and maybe tell you some of the great things about you. And, that might help to lift you out of that funk. Maybe not, but it doesn't help to try. With all these strategies, it doesn't help to try at least once, and some several times, like meditation, something you should try more than once. Depression is something that a lot of people don't talk about for a couple reasons. One is the stigma that surrounds mental health, but also I've heard this before where people will say something like, oh, you'll be fine, get over it. Oh, you have so much to be grateful for. Just go for a walk. Those are very simple solutions to a very big problem. So some things do help, like going for a walk. Exercise helps, which I'll talk about in a second. But if you feel sad and you're really sad, it's okay. Like I said, it's more than just feeling, kind of blue or under the weather. Sometimes it's more severe than that. So talking to someone, sometimes it helps, maybe it doesn't, but my suggestion really is to talk to a mental health professional. It should be part of your maintenance for your well-being, which I'll talk about. There are a lot of resources out there. There now, because of the pandemic, a lot of doctors are doing things online, which is really cool. Some insurances are even offering the counseling online now as an option because of the pandemic. So if you have insurance, reach out to them, see if that's an option for you. There are free or discounted services that the city offers. So go online, you can look those up as well. Lots of private practices. Go online, look at the Google reviews and everything. Find a doctor that specializes maybe in the mental illness that you think you might have, like let's say depression or an anxiety disorder, or you might have PTSD. You can find someone that specializes in that. Lots of resources out there. You just got to be willing to look, and you have to seek out the help. You know, no one's going to just come up to you and be like, hey, you have anxiety. No, you have to disclose that to someone. Like I said, depression is something a lot of people don't talk about, and you have to be aware of these telltale signs that you might be depressed, or someone you know might be depressed, or maybe even suicidal. That's why celebrity deaths like kind of always catch us like off guard, like Anthony Bourdain, who else? Robin Williams. You know, a lot of people didn't know that anything was wrong. These people seem so happy, but there are signs, little signs that you have to be aware of. And if you feel upset, again, reach out and talk to someone before it gets to that point. Anxiety is the next thing I want to talk about. And the symptoms for this, you can have anxiety and you can have panic disorder. So they're two different things. So according to the National Institute for Mental Health, some of the symptoms that you might exhibit would be restlessness, feelings of irritability, what else? Racing thoughts. And it's more than just getting nervous before like a presentation or a test. The feelings are a little more intense and you get them more often. Again, talk to somebody if you think you might have an anxiety disorder. I'm not a mental health professional, so I can't diagnose you, but those are some symptoms that you could bring up to your doctor if you wanted to. And the panic disorder, this is when you have constant panic attacks. So if you've had a panic attack, you definitely know what it's like. A lot of people actually go to the emergency room because they think they're having a heart attack, and actually it's a panic attack. But people will hyperventilate because you feel like you can't breathe. Your palms get sweaty, your heart start racing. It's just a terrible, terrible feeling. And the panic disorder, you get them again often. That's something that you would want to talk to someone about. There are different strategies that you can use. You might be prescribed medication. Not everybody wants to take medication, but if you do, don't be ashamed of that. That's fine. A lot of things like for depression, I've read that there are chemical imbalances, and the medication helps to regulate that. So don't be ashamed of that. But there are strategies that you can use for anxiety that do not include medication. Talking helps, but also there are grounding techniques. And I wanted to share some grounding techniques with you because they work for me, and hopefully they'll work for you too. The website that you'll have access to has 30 different ones that you can use. So try them out. So my favorite one is the 5-4-3-2-1, and you've probably seen this before. But let's say you're feeling anxious. Oh, I'm not feeling so good. My hands are sweaty. My heart's racing a little bit. Okay, so do this technique. The first thing you're going to do is find 5 things you can look at in the room. I'm just going to kind of look. I see my fan, computer, my cat, Pepsi bottle, another picture. And then you're going to do 4 things that you can touch. So my hair, my phone, my computer, my fan. And then you're going to do 3 things that you can hear. I can hear my fan. I can hear the cars on the highway. I live right next to it. I can hear the TV there. See, and already, like, it's starting to work. I'm feeling calm. Okay. Two things that I can smell. So I don't smell the cat box. That's good. Okay. So I smell an incense I burned earlier. I can smell the bacon I fried for my husband earlier. And then one thing that you can taste. So I was chewing gum earlier. I taste the gum. And you'll see that process. We did it kind of quickly, but when you're doing it yourself in an actual situation, you're going to do it a little more slowly. And you'll see that that kind of helps to bring you like into your body and into the moment. You're not focusing on that thing that was making your mind race anymore. So that's a really good one. Being mindful in general will help you with the anxiety. Being aware of those feelings, knowing when you're going to get a panic attack, will help you. Oh, maybe my hands are sweaty. To me, that's like a big indicator that I might have a panic attack. But I used to take medication for anxiety, but since learning the grounding techniques and being more mindful, that's really helped me. Exercise also helps. So we have grounding techniques, exercise. And I know earlier I was saying like people tell you to go for a walk and that's supposed to help. Well, actually exercise does help you. It can help with depression. So there was a study done by the Harvard Medical School that showed 3 weeks or longer of exercise can help reduce symptoms of depression. So I encourage you to do it. And that's long term, but even just like the short term effects of exercise. So if you do high intensity workouts or you go for a run, you've probably heard of like people saying you get a runner's high. Well, it's your body is releasing endorphins, which are like feel good chemicals like in your body. So that really can help you with those things. And then for me, anxiety just kind of gets all that energy out of me. And that has been really useful for me. So if you're feeling a little down or a little anxious, try going to the gym, go for a nice little run. It helps me. It helps me a lot. So try it again. Use it as a tool for your toolbox. Another thing that's great is meditation. I think we might have a webinar on meditation. I'm not sure. Not me. But meditating really helps with that mindfulness, which will help you with anxiety. So a lot of people, they say, oh, I can't meditate. I don't know how to meditate. Oh, my mind just goes crazy. I can't, sit still. But with meditation, you have to actually work at it. It's not something that comes easily to a lot of people. So my suggestion is to try several times. I have some links for you guys that will be in the resources to different YouTube channels that do guided meditation. So for me, guided meditation got me hooked. The first time I went to meditate was actually meditation for anxiety. Guided meditations, a lot of them are for like a specific thing. So I went to one for envy. They had it for like trying to find a higher self, love, things like that. So you can meditate for different reasons. So try an anxiety one. I do sleep meditation for the past year. Every night I do sleep meditation. It really helps to like calm me down, quiet my mind. So if you don't think you can do it, just try the guided meditation a few times. I promise you, once you get it, you're going to be hooked. Take at least 15 minutes a day to try to meditate. I know a lot of people say, oh, I don't have time. I'm so busy. I have to, clean. I have to cook. I have to take care of my kids. I have to do homework. I have to work. But I guarantee you, if I told you that if you found 15 minutes a day for a week to do meditation, I'd give you $2,000 at the end of the week. I'm pretty sure you'd find the time. So you do have the time, you just have to make it. Plus you're investing in yourself. It's for your well-being, it's for your health. So it's very important. Of course, eating right, that goes with physical health. You feel good about yourself, you look good, that helps. Because when we gain weight, sometimes it makes us a little down and it doesn't help things. at all. Okay, the last thing I wanted to tell you was to practice gratitude and to make goals. I think making goals can help you with depression. When we're feeling down, when we feel kind of like worthless, you look back at your goals and, you see that you are moving forward. You're not worthless. Life is good. You're making moves. So that helps. You can have a vision board, a journal, a daily gratitude calendar, which is what I have. So every morning I wake up and I write positive, like, affirmations. You're doing great and you're going to kick butt and keep it up. And that helps me every morning kind of get in that grateful mindset. And then, yeah. So that's it. I'm sorry I'm talking so much. Okay, last thing, suicide awareness. Sometimes things just get too heavy, so this is a really personal topic for me, and it's like a big motivation for me wanting to do this in the first place. I lost my brother last year to suicide, and it was really life-changing. I'm not gonna lie, there were telltale signs that I wasn't aware of until I started doing research on suicide. And then I noticed, I'm like, so one of the things is previous suicide attempts. So he had tried 2 times before this, was not successful, but it was a long, long time ago. So we thought that, it was just him going through a phase. He was being a teenager, but it wasn't. It was the start of a cry for help. So there are things that you need to be aware of, and not just in other people, but also yourself. So those feelings of worthlessness, pay attention to those. If you notice somebody is withdrawing money from their bank account, if they're giving away possessions, it's a sign that they might be reaching out for help, or you might need to intervene and help. If they start drinking more, maybe doing drugs, withdrawing from friends and family, that's another one. So maybe mood swings, sleeping too much, sleeping too little. If you notice the weight loss or the weight gain, you might talk to them about it. Again, through the research, I found out that people sometimes exhibit these signs in front of people because they do want help. So if anybody ever talks about it with you, take it seriously. Even if in the back of your mind you're like, they're fine, they'll get over it, they're okay. They're not. And it's not just one call. So if you call and say, hey, are you okay? Make sure you follow up. Do a follow-up call. Make sure that person's really okay. There are lots of resources out there for you if you ever feel that way, or if you want to direct someone to one of those resources. You can even text now. You don't even have to call, but you can text. There's a crisis helpline. They have specific helplines for different situations, like domestic abuse, for teenagers, for runaways, for people in the transgendered community. Lots of different ones that are very specific. Of course, you can just call the general one. I don't remember the number for it, but the last 4 digits are HELP. But again, we'll have resources that you can access after the presentation. Also, if you have any questions about the resources that I have, just send me an email. It's ncortez@southwestuniversity.edu, and I can share some of those resources. Okay, one more thing, and then I promise I'm going to stop talking. And this is directed more towards the students. I know we have some instructors and staff in here too, but this is more for the students. If you ever have any special accommodations that you think you need, and it doesn't have to be just mental health, you can reach out to Maria Chaparro. I think I'm saying her last name right, but she can help you. And if you disclose to her, she's not going to tell your instructors why you might need more time on assignments, why you might, leave the room. They're not going to disclose to us. If you feel comfortable disclosing to your instructors, we can work with you. So I do have quite a few students that have PTSD, and they let me know. I think part of why they let me know is because at the beginning of the semester, I let all my students know, if you have any special needs, please talk to me about it, so that I can, accommodate you. So I had a student who had really, really bad anxiety, and it was a class that was conversation based. So I would call on students, and she came to me after class and she told me, I have really bad anxiety. I kind of freak out when you start calling on people. And so we made kind of like a little system where she would put her phone on top of her notebook. And if her phone was on top of her notebook, then I wouldn't call on her. And I'd know she didn't take advantage of the situation. She didn't always have it on there. So, but if it was there, then I wouldn't call on her. Some students have told me, I feel uncomfortable sitting here for 30 minutes. I'm going to have to get up and walk out. I'm like, that's fine. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, so if you feel comfortable, and it's not something to feel shameful about, that's why I talk about it so much. I'm very honest. I have 3 mental health challenges that I cope with, and I'm not ashamed of it. I disclose that I have anxiety a lot. But yeah, working with those strategies has helped me. I consider myself a successful person. You can live with mental illness and have an awesome life. You can have anxiety and still give presentations. It's just knowing those strategies, and again, talking about it. It's so, so, so important to talk about any issues that you might be facing. As little and insignificant as you think they might be, they're not. And if you ever do feel, those feelings of worthlessness to the point where you just want to give up, just remember, you mean the world to someone. You matter. You're loved. You're awesome. And you are someone's entire world. The world is better because you're in it. I promise you. So just remember those things. There's a really good quote about suicide. It says suicide doesn't take away your pain. It only gives it to someone else. And it's really true. So don't be afraid to talk. I guess that's really the whole point of this presentation, is to kind of raise awareness and to get people comfortable talking about it. And I kind of rambled on about the different strategies that you have and that I use that have been helpful for me. So I hope that you'll consider them and use them. And that's it. Oh, questions?
Thank you so much, Ms. Naomi. This is Dr. Ramos again. Did anybody have any questions? I know we have, if you're on the Zoom, you can enter them in the chat, or if you want to ask anything, you could add it there. But I did have a question, Naomi.
Okay.
So, you mentioned a lot of different strategies that students can employ. Mm-hmm. What do you think is maybe the easiest one they can get started with, say, tonight or tomorrow? Just, something to start and then build up from there.
I think it would be, that's a good one. I think trying to practice mindfulness, in general, is a good one. So one thing that you can do to practice mindfulness and to kind of become more in the moment and aware of your body is to switch hands. Switch the dominant hand you typically use for activities. So when I brush my teeth, I do it with my right hand, right? So I start doing it with my left to try to, and this helps with just dexterity in general, but it kind of brings you more into the moment and aware, because so often those everyday, mundane tasks that we do, you don't think twice about it. It's kind of like when you're driving and you forget how you got back home. It's because it's one of those tasks that you're on autopilot. So to get out of that autopilot mode, I think, doing that exercise will help you. So that's one thing for mindfulness.
All right, awesome. And I did have just one more question,
Okay.
at least on my part. So you mentioned, if you notice somebody displaying warning signs to reach out to them. I don't know, again, this might be out of kind of your area of expertise, but do you know or have you read any suggestions on how to start those conversations if the other person, say, gets defensive or is denying it, or continue those conversations to make sure that they do express kind of what they need to express?
I haven't really read anything about that, and I haven't personally experienced it. But I think that just because I do know someone that, committed suicide, I feel like never giving up. If someone gets defensive, just personally, that's what I would do. Like, as a friend, I'd be like, oh, heck no. Like, I know something's up, we're going to talk. Maybe it depends on the relationship you have with the person.
Okay, thank you very much. Did anybody else have any questions that they wanted to ask or submit on the chat? Well, it looks like that's good. Thank you so much for your time, Miss Naomi. Thank you for the information. It's great to bring these issues up and raise the awareness for them. I think it's very important for us, not only the students, but for the faculty and staff as well. So thank you so much. All right. And so with that, we'll go ahead and end this presentation. We do have some other SU Teaches SU talks coming up in the next couple of weeks. So just keep an eye out on SU Learning to check out those announcements. But thank you again so much, Ms. Cortez. We really appreciate your time and your research and presenting these topics to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.